welcome back. I am Shelby Zarnick, a licensed mental health practitioner and social worker. I'm here today to help you take action to create your best life in the most difficult times and ask you to be vulnerable with me. This is the Rise and Thrive podcast. So today's topic is kind of asking, where do I start? How do I even assess what to do to make my life better? And so I ask you to look at this in two different ways. Look at the situation and then also look at yourself, because there might be simple things of your pet peeves, that kind of thing that might be triggering you, and so we need to assess that also. So step one is to look at your old situation, whether that be looking at your calendar, looking in your planner, maybe taking a moment to kind of pencil it out in front of you. Yes, there are spontaneous personalities who say, Shelby, I do something different every day. Well, I want to tell you that your brain likes habits and patterns, and so I bet somewhere in there you're doing something every day or something every week that you're not even aware of, and so this is how you're going to figure that out. Also, when I ask you to write it down, it takes what's going on in here and puts it here in front of you. And that does two things. That turns off your emotional brain. It's being triggered right now because when we're stressed out, we react, and our emotions are what drives a lot of our decisions. And so doing this simple task of writing it down will turn you into an observer. It will turn on your logic brain so you can assess and problem solve what to do. You also then will be able to see the entire picture of what's going on. So, old situation. Now I'm going to ask you to write down your current situation. See how I avoided the word new? Because that simple word could trigger your brain to, again, turn on that flight or fight response, an emotional response. So also playing around with different words and kind of assessing what triggers you can also help you. So once you've done that, you need to compare to kind of get creative and kind of rethink. I'm going to ask you to take your old habits and re-put them in the current situation, because it's a lot easier to kind of reprogram and get creative with how to use your old habits than creating and learning a brand new habit. Also, looking at the old situation can kind of be depressing because there's all this cross off and X's. So I'm going to challenge you to stop saying, what can't I do, and start saying and thinking, what can I do? I used to exercise at noon. Maybe I can Zoom with some of the people I used to exercise with. We pick out an exercise and then we force ourselves to do it. Yes, I'm saying the word force. Because your brain isn't going to like to change and do habits, and sometimes we have to take action versus letting our feelings control us and just do it and force ourselves to do it. Also, think about the opportunities that are going on right now. I was able to watch Phantom of the Opera live in my fat pants while having dinner and a movie while I Zoomed in with my girlfriends. I couldn't have done that before, and it was free. So, awesome. Now, another thing you can do other than looking at those things is do an evening and night reflection. That can do different things for you. It can assess kind of also what's stressing you in your life, or it can start to add positivity and grateful thoughts, because like I had said in my first episode, people were talking about positive things, and so this is a way to kind of end your day and trigger your brain to reflect on that, and then you will start to do that throughout your day of looking for those things so that you can reflect on it later. But first you need to pick your theme. So like I said before, are you looking for stresses? Are you assessing what your triggers are? Or are you adding positivity to your life? And lastly, I want to bring up the personality tests. So there are tons of things out there for free, even doing those Facebook things about which character are you, can just give you a little insight and tell you a little bit about yourself. Like something I've learned is that every morning I used to look at my email to kind of set the tone of my day. I no longer do that because what happens is I get off my email an hour later frustrated because A, it's taking me an hour to go through my emails. B, typically something in that email will change something that I have to do today. It might change the way I function throughout the day, and so that's triggering. I'm an achiever personality, so it's best if I can cross things off a list. So I rethought what to do, and I do 2 things on my list, or I work on it for an hour before I even open my email so I can start my day feeling a little bit achieved. Also, if you are an introvert, which means you get energy, you are happier alone sometimes, and so maybe your job was you sat at a desk and did tasks all day and you loved that. Something happened and now you're screening and talking to people all day. That's an extrovert task. That simple thing will make you feel exhausted doing and going to work. It can then start to make you not want to go to work and yada, yada, yada. So knowing that tells me, okay, I have to do that job. What can I do? I can add some alone time breaks throughout the day. I can add a de-stress activity so that at the end of the day, I will leave the stress in that spot so I can transition to go to where else I need to go to in my life, whether that be home, another job, exercise, whatever that may be. Plugging in an activity can help in that transition, which I'll talk further in a future episode if you want more details of that specific thing, or I'll try to put it in a link below. So again, in summary, to figure out what to do, you need to figure out what's going on. And to do that, you need to look at your old and current situation. It's easier to plug in old habits than learn new habits. Think about what can I do, and have a reflection time. Pick the theme of that. And then lastly, kind of assess yourself. Below are tools for all of that, giving examples of my old and current situation, some different reflection prompts. I like the True Colors personality test, so there's a link to that below, plus a PowerPoint to kind of explain your color to figure out what are my triggers, how do I function with people that trigger that, and so on and so forth. There are tons of things out there. Those are just my top 2, and it's kind of all free for access. So again, please be vulnerable with me and reach out to me and let me know what it is that you need, whether it be emailing me, messaging me, be anonymous if needed. And thank you for tuning in, and I will see you at my next episode.